It's not without reason that Virat Kohli says Australia is his favourite country to play cricket in. Kohli has reached Australian shores for the 7th time as an international cricketer, and each of his 6 previous trips bears some significance in his storied career. Kohli's first tour down under was a forgettable summer for Indian cricket, which saw them whitewashed in the tests and failing to make the finals of the subsequent ODI tri-series. But within the abyss came a first glimpse of something special. At Adelaide, Kohli notched up his maiden Test 100, and he finished the trip with his first great ODI ton, a barely believable lashing of peak Lasith Malinga at Hobart. Three summers later, he arrived shaken, but left a legend. Kohli was still healing from the scars of a wretched tour of England earlier in 2014, but he turned the corner spectacularly with the most prolific series for any Indian batter in Australia and among the most prolific for any visiting batter ever. He started the series, fittingly at Adelaide again, having been named India's Test captain for the first time, and celebrated it with twin hundreds that nearly pulled off a stunning victory. He finished it in Sydney, having taken permanent charge of the Test side, and celebrated that with a century too. The next visit was a quick fly-in for 8 white ball games, and Kohli scored 50 or more in 7 of those to kickstart his annus mirabilis. 2016 was a year where Kohli was player of the IPL, player of the T20 World Cup, player virtually untouchable, and it all began in Australia. By the time India returned for their next full tour of Australia, Kohli the captain had taken off. His was an Indian side that didn't know what losing at home was like, and that was hungry to push the envelope when playing away, but he was only going to achieve full flight by conquering the final frontier. It wasn't his best series with the bat, although for many an Australian tour with 100 at Perth and an 80 in a win at Melbourne would qualify, but the batting was only a side note as Kohli's India reached uncharted territory, the first Asian side to win a men's Test series in Australia. They were back 2 years later, and we didn't know it then, but Kohli was at the start of his lowest ebb in international cricket. Not like the numbers from this trip alone would suggest anything of the sort. He reached 50 4 times in 8 innings across formats, but Kohli knew before the trip his Test summer would be limited to 1 game, and that, under the lights of the Adelaide Oval, would be the darkest of hours. Fortunately for Kohli and India, the team he left behind would go on to script history, but would the last memory of Kohli in Australia be 36 all out? No chance. Even though 2 of his most barren ever years had left many fearing the worst, Kohli arrived for the 2022 Men's T20 World Cup and played, arguably, his greatest knock of all. That day, that comeback, that shot, all was good again. Kohli finished as the leading run-getter of that edition and launched himself into another period of white ball domination. The 2 years between then and now have seen Kohli scale the summit of ODI batting with a 50th 100 in a World Cup semi-final no less on the Masters home turf in front of the Master himself. They've seen Kohli finally be crowned a T20 World Champion with a Player of the Match gong in the final to boot. But they've also seen the runs dry and Kohli slide in the format that matters to him the most. Surely there won't be another Test trip to Australia for Virat Kohli. On visit number 7, can he find heaven again?